Okay. So we're going to start the class. Just stay lying down where you are. Bring the eyes closed when you feel comfortable. So this is an hour-long restorative yoga flow class. We're focusing on slowing down, bringing more focus and clarity into the mind through movement and through breath. If anything goes wrong with the sound or with the video through the class, just let me know. And hopefully nearby, you've got a blanket or a pillow, maybe some water, and just wearing comfy clothes and being in a comfortable environment in your home. If you need to grab anything, then you can quickly do that now. I hope that you just do what's comfortable for you. There won't be anything too strenuous. We're just working on passive movement and passive stretching. There'll be a few more active postures, but everything is working to release and relax the body. If you feel any pain or anything's very uncomfortable, then just feel free to come to lie down on your mat or sit on your mat cross-legged and be accepting of where you're at. So before we start, we're just going to try and bring some awareness into the mind and the body. So at the moment, there's lots of life changes, lots of strange kind of transitions that people are going through. Different worries and different stress is coming up that a lot of us haven't necessarily had to feel before. There's lots of uncertainty. And rather than try to escape those feelings, we're just going to try and acknowledge them. So take a moment to try and identify any emotions, thoughts, or worries that you might have at the moment. Don't worry if they bring up uncomfortable feelings or upsetting feelings. It's much better to allow yourself to acknowledge it than to try and push it away. And you don't need to go into the story of why you have a certain worry or why you're feeling a certain way. You just need to identify it, just recognize it. You don't need to try and explain it to yourself or get involved. And then just start to come back to your breath. Just bring awareness back to your breathing. Listen to your breath. Feel the movement in the body as you breathe. And then start to recognize if there's any physical discomfort or tension in the body. So we all hold our stress in different places. You might be someone that tenses your stomach when you feel stressed. You might find that you hold tension in your neck, back, or shoulders. Your hands might tense up. Your chest might feel tight. These are all places that we can hold stress. Really, really try to tune into your body and find, even if it's a small area that might just be feeling a little bit more tense and tight. And acknowledge this. Feel this. And come back to your breath. Feel the journey of the breath through the nose, down the throat, down, filling the lungs, raising the stomach, raising the chest. Feel the breath move through the body. And now you should be feeling more tuned in and more aware of what's happening for you. And we can work through the class, setting an intention now to try and use this space to let go of some of these difficult things in the body, or just to be at peace with them, to be at peace with our worry and our stress, and release some of it that we're holding in the body. Now trying to work on our breath a little bit. You can take one hand onto the stomach and one hand onto the chest. You don't have to do this if you'd rather have your arms just relaxed by your side, but it can help to feel how you're breathing. Firstly, start to slow and deepen the breath. And we're trying to breathe into our belly. So try to feel the belly expand as you inhale and contract as you exhale. The chest will move a little bit, but try to keep the chest soft and still. So mainly using the stomach to breathe. It might feel a bit unnatural if you haven't used this type of breathing before, but that's okay, it just comes with practice. When we're in a stressed or anxious state, we breathe into our chest. And most people spend a lot of their day breathing into their chest and only start breathing into the belly when they get home and really truly relax on the sofa or in bed. So by breathing into our stomach intentionally, we can actually bring the body into that relaxed response, out of the stress response. So the breath is really powerful at having a physiological response in the body. Now, if you want to, you don't have to if it feels like it's just going to be more complicated, but you can bring a slight restriction into the throat by locking the chin down a little bit and thinking about pushing the front of the throat back towards the roof of the mouth. And this little constriction starts to make a noise that sounds like the ocean. And this is called ocean breath or ujjayi breath. Breathing in and out through the nose. And once you're settled with that style of breathing, using your hands just to guide your breath, making sure you're keeping with that belly breath, we're going to come into an exercise of holding and retaining the breath. This is a really good exercise for meditation and concentration, but also for making the lungs breathe more efficiently as well. So what we'll be doing is breathing in for 4, holding for 8, and breathing out for 7. So I'll count you through it. If you feel, it's normal to kind of feel a little bit, lightheaded or something, but nothing extremes. If you get very dizzy, just breathe normally. But as you hold your breath, try to keep the body relaxed because it will naturally start to tense up. So exhale to start. And inhale now for 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold the breath, relax the body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale slowly, 7, 6, 5, 4. Completely empty the lungs, push all the air out. And inhale for 4, sipping the air. 3, 2, fill the lungs comfortably and hold. Relax the body. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale slowly. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Completely empty the lungs. Push the air out a little more. Last time, inhale. 4, sit the air. 3, 2, fill the lungs comfortably so you're not straining, and hold. 3, 2, 1. Exhale slowly. 7, 6, 5, 4. This is our last long exhale. So now really push the stay there away, completely emptying the lungs, and then return to that natural rhythm of breath. And try to find a style of breathing that you think is sustainable for you throughout the class. So you're not breathing so deeply that you're going to be getting dizzy, and it's not really realistic that you'll breathe the whole time like that. Come into a natural rhythm that feels good for you, a good pace, a good depth. And then try to think about maintaining this the whole time. Come back to the intention you set, being aware of emotions and where you might be holding them in the body. Keep remembering that. Know what you're working towards. Know yourself and what you need from your class. Gently open the eyes, staying on your back, and we'll start to move into our practice. So lifting the legs to 90 degrees above you. And if you feel that there's an arch in the back, just tuck the bottom under a little bit so that you can try and feel the whole spine against the mat. Drop the knees over to the right side of the body. And then either look straight up to the ceiling or look over to the left hand. And try to see if you can press the shoulders down towards the mat. So that left shoulder might be lifted a little bit, and that's okay. But as you exhale, see if you can try to lower that left shoulder down. And we're focusing here on that release through the lower back as you twist the spine. Using the breath to feel each sensation in the body as you're in your pose and in your stretch. One more deep breath. Lift back up to the center. You might want to realign the body. Make sure you tuck those hips under so you can feel your back against the mat. Drop the knees over to the left and maybe looking over to the right hand. And again, using your breath to gently guide the right shoulder down to the mat. Every time you exhale, try to ground further down into the floor, allowing the body to be heavy, allowing the back to completely release. So there's no need to hold anything. Everything's just passive movement. Let gravity do the work. And lift the knees back up to the middle. Hugging the knees in the chest by just holding over the shins, kind of by the kneecaps. Again, you're trying to feel the whole length of your spine against the floor. So if when you squeeze the knees and the hips come up, just push the legs down a little bit so that the hips can stay on the floor. And think of the top of the head lifting and the hips pushing down so that you're lengthening the body. Feeling the whole of the back against the mat. If then you feel able to with the hips down, you can squeeze the legs in a little bit more. One more breath here. Release the feet down to the mat, and we're taking an open butterfly. So again, make sure the hips are tucked under. Bring the feet together, drop the knees out to the side. And then the hands can relax over the head so that you're opening up the shoulders a bit. The back will naturally arch a little bit off the floor, but just make sure it's not arching a lot, and tuck the hips under if you need to. And then let the hips completely release and open. Again, you're not trying to hold the stretch or force the stretch down. All you have to do is concentrate on relaxing the bottom muscles, and relaxing the hips. And as you breathe, feel the openness in the body. Make sure you're still at that natural cycle of breath that's sustainable for you. One more deep breath here. And lift the knees back into the body, and we're going to take our happy baby. So if this is too much for you and you feel tight in the hips, then just hug the knees in again. If you feel able to, flex the feet and then hold the inside of the soles of the feet. So you're going in between the legs rather than outside. Try to keep the hips down. The hips naturally start to lift a little bit. And then gently press down on the feet, opening the hips a little bit more. And if you want to, you can rock around a little bit to massage the back against the mat. You don't have to do this. You can lie still if you want to. Feel the openness in the hips. Send your breath to your hips. So as you exhale, you feel the body open more. Space comes into the body. And release the hands, taking the feet down to the mat. And then use your hands to gently lift yourself back up. And we'll straighten the leg out in front of you. And we're just going to keep working on opening the hips and twisting the back. So we're going to step that right foot in as close to the body as you can. And then let the right knee drop out to the side. And let the sole of the foot turn up to face you. So that right leg is completely relaxed. You don't have to force anything. Let it just flop there. And then sit up nice and tall so that you're lifting through your posture, like there's a piece of string lifting through the top of the head. And try to see if you can feel the little sitting bones underneath the bottom, so that you're not sitting back onto the coccyx, so you're rather sitting forward and sort of pushing the tailbone out behind you. And then we're going to bring the left hand over the right knee, and then turn over the right shoulder and start to look behind you. And we're working to feel a twist and a release in the lower back. So the shoulders and the upper back are moving round. With each exhalation, see if you can look past your shoulder a little bit further. As you breathe out, you should feel space to move around. So really work with your breath. Keep that right leg relaxed. One more breath. Keeping the legs in the same position, just look back to the front. Maybe push forward if you're sitting back on the coccyx. And then start to lead with your chest as you exhale and lean forward towards your front leg. So you're sending the hips back behind you and lowering down towards the front leg. Try to keep a little bit of a flex in the front leg as well. Try not to tense up this right hip. I notice my leg starts to get more and more tense, so I have to remember to just let it drop down there. One more breath. Maybe push the chest a little bit further down towards your shin. And release, lifting back up. Shake out the legs, just bringing them in front of you. Moving onto the other side, so we'll tuck that left foot in. Really tuck it in as far as you can. Drop the knee out to the side, let the sole of the foot turn up towards you. Sitting on your little ischial bones, so the sitting bones. And we're going to start to twist. So bringing the right hand onto that left thigh, looking over the left shoulder. Sitting up and lifting nice and tall, and then using your exhalation to twist round, looking a little bit further over the shoulder each breath. One more breath, maybe twisting around more. And release back to the front. Keep this left leg relaxed. Don't let tension come into the hip. Start to push the tailbone back behind you. Inhale, lift with the chest. Exhale, lead forward with the chest. Doesn't matter how far down you come. It never matters how far down you go or how you look in a pose. It just matters what you feel. So if you feel a nice stretch down the back, especially the lower back and down the back of the leg, then you're doing it right. Keep this front foot a little bit flexed. One more deep breath. Maybe leaning a bit further forward. And inhale, lift. And relax the legs. Good. Okay, crossing the legs. Again, just keep the legs really relaxed. And we're gonna just place the fingertips behind you, about shoulder width apart. And it's like a cat-cow sort of pose, but we're sitting. So we're gonna inhale, push the chest, think about the sternum lifting up towards the ceiling, pinch the shoulder blades together and look up. Don't let the neck drop back, just look up to the ceiling. Send the breath to the ribs, so feel the ribs expand. One more breath. And release. Good, staying here. And we're going to stretch the shoulders a little bit. So bring the fingertips to the shoulders. As you inhale, bring the elbows together. As you breathe in, lift the shoulders right up to the ears. Lift the elbows high. And as you exhale, bring the elbows down and round. Pinch the shoulder blades together. Eventually push the shoulders down, push the elbows down. So you're making as big a circle as you possibly can with the shoulders. Inhale, lift up. Really lift the shoulders up. Exhale, roll down. You'll feel a little bit of crunching and cracking, that's fine. But obviously no pain. So if there's pain, just stop. One last time, so we're pulling the shoulders down. Now we're inhaling, lifting up. Reach the elbows really high. Exhale, pinch the shoulder blades together. Roll down. Good. And just let the arms go. Lovely. Warming up the wrists. So we're going to tuck the sort of back of the hand into the waist. Always really, really gently with the wrist. Gently with any joint, but especially the wrists. If this feels okay and you want more of a stretch for the wrists, you can bring the back of the hands up towards the armpits. And just work out where the right position is for you. So you can move the hands around and just see where you feel the best stretch. Keep the shoulders and elbows down and relax. Still not forgetting to send the breath to the belly. Breathe in a nice natural rhythm and flow. One more breath and release the hands. Just do a few circles to let the wrist go. And the other way. And then very gently, just push against the fingers and press the wrist away from you. Changing over hand, press against the fingers, push the heel of the wrist away. And release. Drop the right ear over to the right shoulder. And then press the heel of the left wrist away from you. And you should feel a stretch radiate from the middle finger right up across the neck. The wrist is pushing down and away. If you want to, bring the right hand onto the right ear. And just be careful, you're not pressing really hard against the head. You're just easing a little bit of weight there to increase the stretch. One more breath. And release the hands first, and then bring the head up slowly. And then gently over to the left shoulder. Pressing the right heel of the wrist down and away. Feel that stretch from the tip of the middle finger right up the neck. If you want to, you can add the hand onto the ear. Be very gentle with this. One more deep breath. Release the hands first, then lift the head up. Good. Rocking forward onto the hands, and you have a choice here to either sit back onto the heels, or if you can and it feels comfortable, you can tuck the toes under and sit back on the toes. So this will help you to feel a stretch down the back of the feet. If this gets uncomfortable, just release and point the toes and sit on the heels normally. And then we're going to try to keep lifting tall and keep the back straight, but drop the chin down towards the chest. Completely let the head drop, not holding on to any of the neck muscles. And then if you want to, you can interlace the fingers behind the back of the head. Let the elbows drop down to the mat. 2 more deep breaths. And release the hands and then lift the head back up. And rock forward onto the hands, come to a tabletop position. It's going to straighten my mat. So make sure that the wrists are shoulder width apart and in line with your shoulders, and then the hips are also the same with the knees. You've got a straight line through the back. Spread the fingers wide and really press the palms and the fingers down into the mat. And then draw the shoulder blades down the back so that your shoulders pull down away from your ears. And we're just going to focus on moving the tailbone and the pelvis. So from the middle of the back upwards, everything's staying completely still. As you inhale, push the tailbone up. So it'll probably be just a small movement. You're focusing on the extension and the stretch in the lower back, in the lumbar spine. This is often where people get a curve in the lumbar spine from doing lots of sitting and things. So it's really good to do this stretch to push the tailbone up. Like we're trying to show your sitting bones up to the ceiling. Keep the head in line, keep the upper back nice and straight. As you exhale, squeeze the bottom underneath you. So again, just moving the pelvis. Good. And again, inhale, push the tailbone up. And exhale, squeeze the bottom under. And we're going to come back to the center And release back to a child's pose. So bring the toes together. Take the knees a little bit wider than your hips so that as you sit back, you can feel each thigh kind of against the ribs, against the side of the body. Keep the upper body really relaxed so the elbows are bent, the hands are soft against the mat. And you're not forcing anything here. Gravity does all the work. All you need to do is breathe to try and relax the body. With each breath, feel yourself grounding down into the mat. Really letting everything go. Just be supported by the mat. The forehead is down. And if you want to, you can roll the head gently side to side to kind of massage the head against the mat. You can close your eyes. You can close your eyes in any of the stretches, but especially this one, it can feel quite nice. And as the eyes are closed and you can feel the mat against the head, think about the earth bringing lots of focus into the mind. So like you're using that sensation of pressing the head into the mat to really refocus the mind. One more deep breath here. Feel the belly move as you breathe. And lift back up onto the hands. Good. And here you have an option. You can either go through your down dog to come up to standing, or you can just step 1 foot forward at a time if you don't want to do your down dog. So if you're going into down dog, tuck the toes under, lift the hips up and drop the head down. And we're only having a couple of breaths here today. Then when you're ready, start to gently walk the feet forward towards your hands. Take it nice and slow. Eventually come to a forward fold. And let the feet be quite wide apart, so about hip width apart. And let the toes be very, very slightly turned in. Make sure the weight's even between the ball and heel of the feet. Keep the knees soft so there's a small bend, never looking back into the joints. And then completely just let the upper body relax. So you're not trying to push your weight down, you're just releasing. So your hands might be on the floor, or they might be here onto the shins, whatever feels right. And now try to take the focus to the lower back and the hips. And that movement we did when we were in tabletop, where we're trying to lift the pelvis up and show the sitting bones up to the ceiling. So if you want to, you can bring one hand onto the lower back, and starting from the coccyx, just almost pull the skin down the back to try and feel length across the lower back. And then if you want to, you can come to Ragdoll. So if you're lifting up here, Ragdoll might not feel comfortable, but if your hands are towards the floor, then you can take cupping each elbow in each hand, tuck the chin in down towards the chest a little bit, and then you can just rock from side to side. Feel that release through the shoulders. You can move slowly, massaging the feet into the ground. Make sure you keep that soft bend in the knees. Good. One more deep breath. And then release the arms. Bend the knees a little bit more and roll your way up through the back, uncurving really slowly. Eventually, middle of the back, upper back unfolds and the shoulders roll back and down. Good, well done. Just going to check the time very quickly, see how we're doing. I'll check on here. We're at, oh, my laptop's logged me out. Okay, 12:40, that's good. So we're only going to do a couple of standing postures today, and then we're coming back to stretching on the ground. So we're going to firstly take a balance, and we're just doing a balance because it's a really good way of bringing concentration, I guess, and discipline into the mind. It's a really meditative movement. So we're going to start with pressing the feet against the ground. Lift up quite tall, but keep a relaxed feel in the body. Bring the hands to the heart and press the thumbs into the chest. And then lift the hands and press the thumbs into the forehead. And here you can either look down towards the floor, or if you're feeling quite stable, you can close the eyes. And we're trying to bring all of our energy into focus. Bringing everything internal, like you're just forgetting your surroundings and forgetting everything external to you. One more deep breath here. Release the hands to the heart. And we're coming into tree pose. You can either keep the hands here, or you can take the hands to the hips if you want to. So press the left foot into the ground. Lift the right knee a little bit. And you've got a few options. You can take the foot to the ankle, and you can have the big toe leaning against the ground, or you can lift the big toe and just have the foot against the ankle. You can have the foot underneath the knee, or you can hold your ankle and place the mount of the toes and then the heel onto the inside of the thigh. Let the foot kind of wrap around the thigh. Feel the hip open. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. If you're wobbling, it's probably just because you've made your body so nice and relaxed. Relax through the chest and the shoulders and the face. Focus your eyesight. Think of it as an exercise of mental concentration and focus rather than a physical exercise. Breathe for 3. Try not to hold the breath. Breathe for 2. 1. Release the leg nicely. You can hold the leg if you want to support it. And bring the feet back together. Coming onto the next side. Relax through the chest, shoulders and face. If you want to, you can take hands to the hips, remember. Ground your right foot down and lift the left knee. Either bringing the big toe to the floor or releasing up to the ankle. To under the knee, make sure you don't press against the knee, or holding the ankle and bringing the toes and then the heel to the inside of the thigh. Press evenly with the balls and heels of the feet against the thigh. Hip opens and the knee drops down. And then just bring yourself into your mind. Again, we're thinking of this as a meditation exercise rather than a physical exercise. Focus your eyesight on one point. Feel the thumbs pressing against the chest if they're at your heart. You might be able to feel your heartbeat, or just feeling the energy in your body. Make sure you're not holding your breath. And breathe softly for 3, 2, 1. Maybe supporting your leg, lift the knee, and bring the feet back together. And just coming into one last standing posture before we come back to the floor. We're going to take the legs quite wide, and we're going to do a wide leg forward fold. Just sorting in that. So you roughly want the feet about wrist width apart if you were to extend your arms. And you want the toes very, very slightly turned in. Don't turn them in too much. Keep a very soft, what we call a micro bend in the knees, so that you're not locking back into your knee joints, especially if you hyperextend your knees. Just be really careful. Take the hands to the hips. Breathe in nice and tall. Push the chest up and open, and then lead with your chest coming down. Make sure you don't sway back into the heels. Keep the weight even on the balls and heels of the feet. Again, we've got that extension in the lower back, so you're trying to lift your pelvis up and tilt your tailbone up to the ceiling. This is about lengthening the spine. So when you come to where you feel comfortable, you might either have your hands on the thighs above the knees or below the knees on the shins. Careful you don't press onto your knees. Or you might be able to bring the fingertips down to the floor. And just know that it doesn't matter how far you come down, as long as you can feel a really nice stretch across the back of the legs, across the hips and the lower back, all the way up to the upper back, then you're doing it right and you're getting a lot from the stretch. So don't worry about the shape that you're making or how it looks. And now the breath is really important here. So work with your breath and move with your breath. Make sure you're still breathing at that same rhythm and pace into your belly. And we're going to have 3 more deep, slow breaths. See if you are comfortable to stretch a little bit further, but making sure you keep that same technique. So a really nice long back, soft knees, because any pain or discomfort, then you can come out of the stretch. 1 more deep breath. Bend the knees a little bit more, bring the hands back to the hips, and then lift yourself back up. Good. Stepping your feet back together to the front of the mat. Breathe the hands up over the head and lift really tall. And then exhale, release back to your forward fold. And then step both feet back, maybe going through your down dog or just onto the knees. And we're going to release back to our child's pose. So bring the knees down, toes together, and lower that belly between the thighs. Soft through your hands and your arms. Elbows are bent. And we're going to make our way into some hip stretches. So we're going to start with our pigeon. So we're lifting up onto the hands. Step the right knee through and bring the foot and the knee to the ground. So this is our pigeon pose. And the angle you want to get is probably about 45 degrees, but it depends on you. So you want to feel a stretch across the outside of your right thigh, but you don't want any pain in your knee. So when the foot's really far forward, it can feel quite uncomfortable on the knee. So that's why you want to get the right angle. Make sure you can sit your weight right in the middle, so you're not sitting to one side. And once you find you've got the right position, take a deep breath in. And then again, as you exhale, lead with your chest and lower forward onto the arms. If you've got a block or a pillow or a blanket, then you can rest your head onto that so that you can really relax through the body. If you find that you start to sit towards the side, just try and shift your weight over. And you can use your right arm to try and push your weight over. And you can feel your belly move here as you breathe. Maybe take this moment to come back to your intention that you set for yourself of what you need to release from your body today. Feel the softness in your body, allowing yourself to let go and just be supported by your mat. Checking that your hands are soft, your face is relaxed. The belly is soft. There's no need to hold on to any of the stomach muscles in this stretch. Breathing in lightness and openness. Breathing out any tension and any worry. One more deep breath here. And lift back up. And then we're going to come back onto the hands and just come back to our tabletop position. Good. Using that same right leg, we're going to bring the right heel forward in front of us and try and extend the right leg. Now you want your hip, your left hip to be in line with your left knee, so it's a straight right angle here. And then your front foot you want flexed, and you want the knee soft here, so the knee might be bent and that's okay, but you're trying to extend the leg as much as feels comfortable, keeping the knee soft. And then rather than thinking of lowering down towards the leg, you're lifting up, and you're firstly thinking of pushing the tailbone up behind you, just as we've been doing in our tabletop before, and all of our stretches, thinking of that extension through the lower back. So think of pushing the sitting bones back, and you'll feel a really nice stretch across the hamstring. And once you feel that, you can lower down a little bit, but just keep focusing on the hips and the tailbone pushing back. One more deep breath here. And release forward, and then just tuck that right foot back to our tabletop position. Good. We're coming on to do those two hip stretches on the other side. So we're going to bring that left knee forward into our pigeon pose. So again, just spend a bit of time trying to get that angle that feels good for you. So feel a stretch across the outside of the thigh. Sitting central, make sure the knee is at a comfortable angle. When you feel right, take a deep breath in, open the chest, and then exhale, lead forward with the chest, walking down onto the hands. And you can either rest the forehead onto the mat or onto a block or a pillow or blanket. And if you find you're shifting over sitting on the left, just push that left elbow or hand into the mat a bit and shift your weight back to the center. And then while we're in the stretch, we're thinking about relaxing the body. And we're thinking about also embracing any discomfort. So sometimes stretches can be uncomfortable, but it's usually just our attitude towards them. So if we tell ourselves that everything's okay, we're not hurt, then we can relax and try to enjoy and embrace the feeling of stretching the body. The body sometimes resists us because it's trying to protect itself from injury. So you have to tell yourself that It's okay. Focus on the feeling of the stretch. Take your attention to that outside of the thigh. Really try and relax that front leg. Notice anywhere that might be tense. Take control of your body. Know what's going on and know what you need to do to let go a little bit more. One more deep breath. And lift back up as you inhale. Lift back up to your tabletop. And then we're going to come and take that hamstring stretch. So bring that left heel forward. Just check your right knee is lined up with your right hip. Good. Keep that knee a little bit soft. It's okay if your knee is quite bent, if you can't get that leg straight, you still get a good stretch. So firstly, we're lifting up and pushing the tailbone back, extending the lower back. Make sure your hips are even, so that left hip might lift, but pull that left hip down. Extend through the lower back. Keep that left foot flexed if you can. And then once you're really pushing the hips back and away, you can lower a little bit more. Work with your breath. One more deep breath. And release that leg back to your tabletop. Good. Lean forward onto the belly. And we're just coming through a couple of back stretches before we come into our relaxation. So the feet are together. And we are squeezing the bottom a little bit here because usually in lots of back stretches, you squeeze the bottom a bit to protect your lower back. And then we're bringing the hands to sort of just by the shoulders or just behind the shoulders. The elbows stay tucking in. And we're coming up to a cobra. So cobra position is all about the chest and the shoulders opening rather than the lower back arching. So we're not really concentrating on here. So as you breathe in, lift up, keep the feet on the ground, push through your hands. Think of the chest pushing forward, the shoulder blades drawing down the back. And try to breathe here. It can feel uncomfortable breathing here, but try to keep flowing with your breath. And release back down. And this time you can either do the same or you can bring the hands a little bit further back and you'll feel a bit more of a stretch coming lower down the back this time. But we're still trying to push the shoulders down the back and open the chest. Inhale, lifting back up. So you've still got a bend in the elbows. Still slightly squeezing the bottom. Elbows tucking in. And release back down. And one last stretch. Again, you can keep the hands at any stage that you felt was a good stretch for you. So you can bring the hands back a little bit more this time. We still want the hips and the legs to stay on the ground, so it's not like an up dog type position. Keep the elbows tucked in. We're not going to be locking into the elbow joints, so you always want a small bend in the elbows. Inhale, lift up. Good. Open the chest, pull the shoulders down. And relax your way back down. Good. Coming up, just pushing back into a child's pose. So sit your weight between the thighs. Sitting back onto the heels. 2 more deep breaths. And lift back up to sitting. And we're going to come into our relaxation. So swivel round onto the bottom and come into your lying position. So if you've got a pillow, you can put a pillow underneath the knees. Sometimes when we're really trying to get a deep relaxation, just having the knees slightly bent allows the legs and hips to relax more, and especially the lower back to relax more. But some people like just having straight legs, so work out what feels comfortable for you. If you want to, you can put a blanket over you. That can make you feel kind of more cozy and more sleepy, and that's good. And then if you've got oils that you like to use, you can just take a dab and either put them onto the wrists or a little bit onto each side of the neck is nice. And if you are putting your oil onto your neck, just a really gentle massage. Good. So coming into your Shavasana position, I'm going to be sitting up so that I can guide you through relaxation. And just checking the time quickly. Good. So it's about 1 o'clock now, but we started a little bit late. So we're going to do about a 7 or 8 minute relaxation. If you have got music on, you might want to turn it down a little bit. Making sure you create an environment where you can really rest. So you want your feet to be relatively wide so that the hips can open and relax. And the hands can either rest across the stomach or they can rest out by your side. Take that hands quite wide if they're out to the side so you can open the shoulders. And just try to come to a natural breath, something that I call an easy breath, so you don't really have to think about it. So we're not trying to control or change the breath here. It's just natural and easy. Bring your awareness to the very top of your head, the crown of the head. Focus all of your attention and energy here. Now feel a warm, golden light of relaxation start to shower and flow down across the top of the head and down across the forehead, relaxing the face, taking away any expression, just releasing. The eyes are soft, the eyebrows are soft. The jaw starts to let go. The tongue can drop down away from the roof of the mouth and settle just behind the teeth. This wave flows across the ears and down the neck muscles, releasing, letting go. Shoulders start to open and are supported by the mat. No need to hold on to anything here. Drifting down the arms, right to the fingertips. If you want to, if you feel tense in the hands, as you breathe in, squeeze the hands into tight fists. As much as you can, keep squeezing. As you exhale, relax, release the fingertips. Let them drop down to the floor. Bring your attention to your back. Really notice any discomfort in the back, any muscles that feel like they're working or tense. And send your breath to these areas. Breathe into this and release. Breathing in relaxation and breathing out tension. Bringing your awareness to your chest. Soften through the chest. Breathe light into the heart. And focusing on the stomach. Just checking if you're holding onto any stomach muscles. Really allow the stomach to completely release. We often are holding the stomach in, sucking the belly in, but there's no need. Just let it completely release. Allow yourself to let go. Start to send your breath to your hips, relaxing the bottom, relaxing the lower back. Allow the hips to be open and the legs to drop down into the mat. And this shower of relaxation flows all the way through the body, right to the toes. And with each breath, you're feeling lighter. And you might start to feel like you're just drifting over the mat. Or like your soul starts to just drift above the body. It's very natural for lots of thoughts to come into the mind. This happens for everyone. But just as easily as those thoughts float into the mind, allow them to float away again. You can choose to let go of thoughts and not become involved with them. You can come back to how the body's feeling and listen to your breath. Feeling that gentle rise and fall as you breathe. And before we start to move, just going to focus all our energy on one thought to send out into the world. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free. Feel this wholeheartedly through the body. Very gently move the toes and the fingers. You can stretch the arms above the head and point the toes away if you want to, just to stretch out the body. But try to keep the eyes closed. Eventually roll yourself gently onto the right side of the body, curling up into the fetal position. Holding on to the relaxation in the body and keeping the eyes closed. Gently lift yourself up to a sitting position, crossing the legs. Let the hands rest and melt down onto the knees. Try to still sit forward onto those sitting bones rather than rocking back into the coccyx. And there's a gentle and soft lift through the posture. The chin is very slightly tucked down. Have a moment to reflect on any changes in the body. Maybe a worry or stress you had that doesn't feel so heavy anymore. Maybe an area of the body that feels soft. Or maybe just an overall sense of calm, happiness, or lightness. Bring the hands to the heart, press the thumbs into the chest. Gently tuck the chin down to the chest. And open the eyes. Namaste. Thanks so much for joining me. If you want to ask me anything or chat, then you can either call me after or you can take your mute off or anything like that if you want to. But thank you for joining.